Do we come to be here by the act of a creator or the random throw of a dice? One scientist believer says we need to ask what we mean by the word random.
The way that we think about random in the day-to-day life, which is purposelessness, is very different from the scientific way of thinking about random, which means that basically it's something unpredictable about the microscopic details of what's happening. But the overall process may still be very predictable and very beautiful. And so I think that evolution, in many ways, is the same thing. Evolution is a random optimizer, and it's probably the very best way of finding the solutions in biological space that we now call you and me.
But the question remains whether any real pattern can be detected in evolution.
The general received wisdom is that evolution is completely open-ended. It can go in any direction you like. And at first sight that seems entirely reasonable because biology, evolution, seems to be largely without any underlying laws. So leading from that, there is then a metaphysical assumption which says that all things are equally probable, but also everything is accidental. It could be this, it could be that. Whereas my view is actually, well, the exact reverse, that the roads of evolution are well defined, and evolution can go in only a very few directions in comparison to the immense plenitude which the neo-Darwinian would suggest.
Professor Simon Conway Morris says he can back up this claim. He's pioneered research in a field called evolutionary convergence.
Effectively, it is arguing that from different starting positions, some sort of structure emerges which is remarkably similar. In other words, I go to an aquarium, I see an octopus in the tank. I look at the octopus and she glances back at me. The eye in my head is constructed on what we call a camera principle. The eye in the octopus head is constructed effectively the same way. It's also a camera eye. Now we know enough from molecular biology and the fossil record and evolution generally that the common ancestor, indeed we do have a common ancestor with the octopus, lived about 500 million years ago in the Cambrian, could not possibly have possessed that sort of camera eye. So independently, the ancestors of the octopus, the ancestors of Simon Conway Morris, generation by generation, evolved a system which is extremely effective for seeing, called the camera eye. So that's just one example of convergence. It goes a bit further than that because this camera eye has actually evolved independently, I think, about 7 times. So you almost get the sense that there are stable points in biological space towards which things can navigate.
But is this another scientist claiming science can prove God?
Emphatically, I would not say, here's convergence, this is a proof of anything, in fact. It merely says that the world is structured, and then you must stand back from that position and say, well, why is the world structured in the way it is? And if there are claims made by particular religious traditions, are they themselves in any way congruent with those world pictures?